Welcome to the series finale of IDTALK4ED Live. I'm your host, Kwame Sarfo-Mensah. And if this is your first time tuning into this podcast, all I can say is where have you been over the past 6 years when we've been doing this podcast? But nevertheless, I'm happy that you were able to make it for this last one. And for my supporters, for those who have been here from day one, for those who have joined maybe within the past few years or so, or maybe within the past week, thank you. Thank you for being here. It means a lot for me to end this chapter of my personal professional life on a positive note. So this is episode number 233. I can't believe that we're sitting here doing episode number 233. I didn't think that it would even be a reality for me to even record that many episodes. I can still remember the day when I started this podcast back in December 16th of 2019. And just to give you the backstory, which I've shared in previous episodes, this podcast really just started by accident. When I moved to Ethiopia with my family back in July 2019, at this time, I'm living in Boston and I'm working as a middle school math teacher. That was what I was doing. And the plan was for me to continue to do that same job in an international school somewhere in Ethiopia. And so we moved to Addis that year. And I'm looking for jobs. I'm trying to get my foot in the door. And I realized how difficult it was to penetrate the international school ecosystem. I didn't realize how many loopholes there would be to get to where I needed to go. So within those first few months, I'm totally depressed. I'm trying to figure out what is my future going to look like now. I'm in a totally different country. My wife has an amazing job working with the Peace Corps. My kids are at the best international schools. They're all set and taken care of. But what does it look like for Kwame? What does living abroad look like? And I was struggling to figure it out. It was the first time in 13 years at that point that I was not going to be starting the school year in a classroom, whether it was as a teaching assistant or as a full-time lead teacher. So that was something that I had to get used to. It was a different type of reality that was set in for me. So, one day I'm on social media and I'm coming across all these cool videos of teachers recording themselves teaching in the classroom, doing short clips, interviewing students, interviewing teaching colleagues. And they were giving us a very detailed and even like a really just an open view of what it's like to be in that classroom setting. And when I saw that, I was like, I need to do this. This looks interesting. I found myself intrigued and I realized like, yo, I can do this too. I'm abroad. I have time. If I can't get into someone else's classroom to work, I could try to create my own classroom from the confines of my home. And that's essentially what I did. So it literally just started out as me going on social media, going on Instagram, going on Facebook, and sending cold DMs to teachers that I admired from afar saying, hey, you want to come on Zoom and talk about yourself for an hour? I record you, you share what you want to share, and then I just upload it onto my new YouTube channel. And of course, they're like, yeah, cool. And it started with one teacher. Then the next week, I found another teacher to interview. Then the week after that, I found another teacher interview. And then next thing you know, I recorded 233 episodes where I've been able to interview more than 250 educators globally. So the purpose of this live stream is really to thank you all for all of your support over that time, because the visibility of this podcast would not be possible without you all tuning in every Thursday whenever you were able to tune in. And then also for all the guests that have come over the past 6 years. They're the ones who make this podcast possible. They're the ones who make me look good as the host. I facilitate the conversation, but they're the ones who come with the stories that you all can relate to. And today, more than anything, is an opportunity for some of those past guests to come on and just share how this podcast has had a personal impact on them, but also to just talk about how maybe they themselves have decided, because of being on this podcast, they found the power and they found the courage to want to start their own platform. And that's been something that I've even experienced from people off camera, sending me DMs saying how I've been inspiring them to do this. And I always like to tell them, well, my inspiration came from other people. I was definitely not the first to think of this bright idea to start a podcast, and I'm certainly not going to be the last. But I can tell you that this has been the gift that has continued to keep on giving. And I want to make sure that today is a day where you hear from some of these individuals who have inspired me to do that. And I'm actually have a few that are here right now. So I'm about to pull some of them on to just share. So I see the OG, Principal Cathele, in the back. I see my man Craig Aarons Martin in the back, two phenomenal leaders who have inspired me to want to do this. So I'm going to bring Principal Cathele on, and then I'll bring in Craig, because I know Principal Cathele, he's got his live stream coming up soon, so I want to make sure he's able to prepare for that.
Hey, morning, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Yeah. Another beautiful Saturday morning.
Yes, sir. So for those who aren't aware of Principal Cathele, please make sure in the next probably 20 minutes you head over to his channel. They got the AP and New Principals Academy going on. And what week are we on, Principal Cathele? For those who don't know.
295 consecutive. We on at 10:55 Eastern time. So I still got a little time. But yeah, 295 consecutive Saturday mornings, talking to assistant principals and new principals, well, veteran principals as well, and others, on leadership. We do this for about 2 hours every Saturday. Free.
And just to let you all know, Principal Cathele is one of those past guests that came on graciously and gave his personal time to share his story and what led him to do what he's been doing through this AP and New Principals Academy. And funny enough, it was something I was going to mention near the end. Part of the reason why I'm actually ending this podcast is because I myself am starting to delve into school leadership, which I never thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
But great opportunity came here in Zambia, which is giving me an opportunity to flex that muscle and dive into that. And I know that my even willingness to want to do it would not be possible without obviously listening to you and listening to so many other great leaders who have created a blueprint for brothers like me to want to even consider doing the brave endeavor of wanting to get into school leadership. So I appreciate you, OG, for just providing that blueprint that you do every week and beyond. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Let me respond to that too.
Yes, sir.
First, congratulations to you, right? And anybody that goes in the leadership, school leadership, district leadership. It's I always feel good about that, particularly when I know the person, because I understand the work, the challenges, the obstacles, the pressures, the demands that accompany that work. It's not easy work, it's heavy lifting. Because at the end of the day, and one of the things I'm gonna talk about in my monologue this morning is that every one of those youngsters, they're ours, right? They may not be ours while they're at home, while they're away from school, but once they walk in the building, they're ours, each one of them. Even the
Yes.
one that gives us the biggest challenges, that's our baby. So the question becomes, what are we going to do with our babies, right? So with you, that's probably the heaviest lift that you have. You going obviously you're going to have, like we think about um leadership in terms of most areas of leadership. You're leading either children or you're leading either adults, right? And in most cases we're leading adults, companies, businesses, all that kind of thing. In a school, you got the simultaneous task of leading children and adults. It's
Yes.
at the same time you're dealing with an adult issue in real time, but you're dealing with a child issue at the same time, right? So the difference between this kind of leadership, school leadership, and anything else is you got these two very diverse populations at the same time. But I know you built for it. You built for. You've been doing this for a while. And I'll close this unless you ask me anything else. Because I don't want to. You got a lot of people coming on. But here's the thing. Um, I didn't come into this business as a teacher wanting to become an administrator. And I don't
Hmm.
meet many people. It's the rare individual that I meet that says, I came into education because I wanted to lead a school. Everybody that came in, the people that I know came in because they wanted to be a teacher, they wanted to be a counselor. But somewhere in there, there's something that moves us. And all of a sudden, we want to lead a school, and that's what happened. I'm in the classroom, just loving it, man, loving them babies. I'm
Right.
still in touch with a whole lot of them. They're in their 40s, going into 50s,
Yes.
right? So I loved it, but something in there moved me to say, take this what you're doing to the next stage, to the next level, and
Yes.
leader. And that's what happened. And that's probably what happened to you.
Yeah, ultimately, like literally, I found myself consulting with this school here in Zambia, and a lot of it was focused around professional learning for teachers. So me just doing workshops, me looking into how we can boost their professional learning program and give them opportunities to build their capacity in terms of their pedagogical practices. So these are things within my realm, just with all my years of experience as a teacher, mentor, and even instructional coach. So then when the opportunity came to expand on that role and to look at more of a 360 view of the schools, looking at operations, looking at like right now we're dealing with recruitment. So like I've been spending the past few weeks looking at how we can get more teachers.
Yeah,
But in order to even get to that point, I had to look at the overall health of the staff and figure out, well, what are the needs? Why are people so tired, right? And a lot of it just came to me just simply thinking back to when I was a teacher, what allowed me to sustain myself for an entire 180 plus school day year.
yeah,
And what did my principals do to allow me to be able to get from September to June? So a lot of conversations and a lot of me just follow my intuition. And I feel like that's what I've been doing over that time. And also reading books. Like I read your books, even my other OGs, Principal L,
yeah,
obviously watching podcasts like the AP New Principals Academy. Matter of fact, I think I was watching an old episode with Dr. Jackson, where you all were talking about the importance of having a leadership team that is connected as opposed to being like a group of individuals,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
And
Yeah,
it made me think about how we have to put together a team that you can delegate responsibilities to and everything else, but those are just some of the lessons I'm learning already. And we're just trying to prepare for the next school year. This is just scratching the surface. There's still a lot to do, but it's been a humbling and fun challenge at the same time that is taking up a lot more time than I expected. So,
hey, well, keep on having fun, because at the end of the day, it's got to be fun. If it's not fun, then how
yes,
we gonna
sir.
do? Yeah, and I'm gonna be out there in Zambia at some point. We'll figure it out. Yeah, come out there and check you out, man.
Yeah, Bob. If you do, let me know. You
No,
know, we're
if I
gonna be
come
here
out there,
for
I'm
at least a
coming out
couple
there for you.
years.
I'm coming out there for you, right? Just because I haven't been to the
Yes, sir.
continent, so now at least I can go see somebody I know, right? Yeah, so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna figure that out, because if you've been keeping up with me at all on social media, I've been traveling a little bit more than I normally do. I'm talking about outside of the work, just getting around. So, but I got to get to the continent. So
Yes.
when we come to Zambia, man.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
appreciate
But once again, Principal Cafele, thank you for what you do. Thank you for continuing to be an inspiration. Cause I mean, for you to be doing this every single week
it. Yeah,
and to still be traveling the country and even beyond, you know, missing flights,
yeah.
renting cars, like people don't realize the grind. And quite frankly, you're in a place where you don't have to do this,
Right.
but you still decide this is what I need to do
Yeah.
in order to keep on inspiring these principals, keep on inspiring these new assistant principals and other school leaders. So I salute you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Salute you back. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
we'll be in touch. I'm gonna still be on though, watching you guys.
All right, no
Yeah.
doubt. I know you got to get ready for your own. So
No, I'm good. We all prepared from the flights. I went to New Orleans, so the flights
all
to New
right,
Orleans and back. I'm good. Notes sitting right here, ready to go.
all right. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
All right. I see you got some more people that about to come on. So I'm
yeah.
about to
All
let
right, my
them come
brother.
on and then
I'll be here watching.
and- all right, appreciate it.
It's the only
Thank
way
you
to
so
watch
much.
StreamYard, or can I watch through
You can
Facebook?
go on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn right now. I'm on Facebook. So you could go
All right,
on any of those
I'll occupy all
platforms.
your spots on StreamYard. So yeah,
Yep.
I'll put you on there. All right, sounds good. Peace.
All right. Peace. All right, that was Principal Cafele, y'all. So the OG school leader. If you don't have any of his books, make sure you get them on Amazon, especially if you are a new school leader. You need to get those books. All right. So where were we? Man, we got so many people here. I'm gonna wait for them to come back and then we'll bring them on. But just continue on with how we got here. Um, it was just one of those situations where I was interviewing different people and I just caught the bug. Like I just started to see the value in bringing people on because it gave me an opportunity to learn about how education was being done in other parts of the globe. And then at the same time, this is right at the height of COVID. So everybody was at home, everybody was social distancing. There was really nowhere for people to go other than their computer screen, like what we're doing right now. So to be in that situation where like you have nowhere to go. And for some people, they didn't really have any other physical person to talk to in the house. So you turn to the screen. And that's what allowed people to really tune into the podcast. But like I said, this was something that honestly happened by accident. It really did. So let's see what's going on here. So I see we got some people in the back, but I think they might have stepped away. So I'll wait for them to come on back. But anyway, I do want to take this time to just share some of the things I've been able to, learn throughout the journey. Number one, just the fact that this podcast has really done wonders for me, particularly as a trailing spouse, as somebody that was looking for jobs, looking for opportunities abroad to continue my career, to be in a position where I could go to a space like this and just really just talk to educators about everything from the classroom and beyond and how identity shapes the work that we do. That was the easy thing. I didn't realize that doing a podcast would lead to the type of visibility that I was seeking out in terms of finding opportunities. So to be able to do a whole virtual conference, which involved past guests of this podcast, and I was, I think, 40 episodes in at that time, did a whole virtual podcast where I was able to do that and actually see one of my good friends, Miss Shira Wolf Cohen, who actually was, her company Innovations was actually one of the sponsors of that virtual conference that I did back in 2021, I believe. And that conference was not going to happen without those presenters who were past guests of this podcast. So that's just one example of how this podcast has brought so many people together. And then from there, I'm talking to people whose books were on my bookshelf. Like, to be able to talk to people who you wouldn't think in a million years you'd be able to talk to uninterrupted for an hour, 90 minutes. I mean, to be able to speak to folks like a Dr. Goli Muhammad, a Dr. Yolanda City Ruiz, a Principal Baruti Kafele, a Dr. Liza Toulousan, a Zaretta Hammond, just to name a few. These are people whose books I have on my bookshelf. And then to be in a situation where now they're coming on your platform of all places to talk education and they give you flowers, it's the most surreal feeling. But those are the moments that allow me to continue to do this podcast for as long as I did. That energy, that's what caused it to happen. Being able to just have the space to talk. And quite frankly, a lot of people, when they get into podcasting, they get into it with the idea of, getting profits, getting revenue. And those are things that are great. But quite frankly, that was never my motivation for wanting to do this opportunity, for wanting to start this platform. It really was a place that evolved into an affinity space for folks like myself who come from third culture backgrounds, folks like myself who were first, second, third generation immigrants. Both of my parents came from Ghana, West Africa. And I always grew up always trying to fit into different spaces I was in, whether I was in the States or even outside of the United States. It was always a challenge to try to fit into these spaces and to meet the different criteria that each space entailed. So to be able to create a space where I could just simply be me and to talk to people who are going through those same identity crises or struggles that I was going through growing up, I mean, it was just a blessing, absolute blessing. But that's something that I always lean on to, especially in moments where I thought, I don't know if I want to keep on doing this podcast, because it takes a lot of time to do a podcast, from the editing to finding guests to come on to the show, to preparing the questions for the guest, to emailing the guest or their PR managers to see what dates work best for them. And also, this was a podcast that I did abroad the whole time. I started in Ethiopia, and then I also did part of this podcast in Sierra Leone when I was living there, and now I'm here in Zambia. But then in between, I did a few episodes here and there in the United States. So this was a podcast that I was doing in different countries I was in. And in all three of the countries, all on the African continent, where I was doing this podcast, I had to navigate a lot of challenges, from the time zone differences to even power issues, because in most African countries, you're not going to get 24/7 electricity like you would in the United States. So having to anticipate the best times to do a podcast and even making the decision to just pre-record episodes was big. When I look back, I wish I was able to do more live stream episodes like this one, because I feel like that live interaction is where you get the most dialogue, you get the most engagement, but it never materialized in that way. But even so, this was something that still was special because so many people still tuned in. If they weren't able to tune in when the episode came out, they definitely went into YouTube and watched the episodes and they commented on it. And you don't really realize how much of an impact you have on people until you actually go to conferences. So for me, being abroad, I'm in a position where I can go to international education conferences, whether in person or virtually. And what's amazing is I could just be in a space and a random person will recognize me and be like, "Man, Kwame, I watch your podcast." And I've never met this individual a day in my life. And they can pinpoint to the episode that they watched and how that impacted them, as far as, with their work as an educator. And when it kept on happening over and over and over again, that's when I realized the power of this platform. We're in a situation now, in our country. When I say country, I'm talking United States of America, but even other parts of the globe, where the stories of historically marginalized communities are being censored, they're being invisibilized, they're being eradicated from our schools, from our libraries. And we have to create spaces like this one where we can keep those stories amplified, keep those stories alive. And for this podcast to have happened at a time where so much political and social unrest was taking place globally, I think that's what made it as special as it was, because it was a space for people to be themselves. It was a space for people to be vulnerable. It was a space for people to vent and to emote and to share their deepest internal issues that they could never share within their school community or with their colleagues who they work with on a daily basis. That's the legacy of this podcast, is that being able to have a space to be able to do that, because not every podcast is able to get guests to open up in the way that this podcast has been able to. And I think that's the part that, really has really struck with me, that has stuck with me, particularly over the past few weeks leading up to this final episode, just reflecting on all the conversations, all the hours, the rescheduling, um, even times where people rearranged their schedules to make sure that they were available to do this podcast. I just I could share so many of these stories, but if you go on LinkedIn, I recently wrote an article that touches on the 10 most memorable episodes I've done on this podcast, and you can read that article on my LinkedIn, and I'm gonna see if I can flash it real quick so you all can see that. So if you all just bear with me, I could flash that article, and then you all can take your time and read it. But it really just speaks to how impactful, this podcast has been for me, and what I've been able to do as a result of it. So let me see. Should be here somewhere. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to share my screen so you all can see that. All right, so this is the article here. So if you go on LinkedIn and you look for this title here, your legacy won't be in your content, it'll be in your care. This is where I break down my 10 most memorable episodes and just the overall impact of this podcast. So if you have a chance, make sure you all read that, and we'd love for you to share your thoughts if you're on LinkedIn. But you should be able to find it there under my profile. All right. So while we're waiting for more people to come on, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again to just share some of the things that are coming up on the horizon. Because I did mention that there were reasons why I decided it was time to bring this chapter to a close. So I want to share some of the things that are happening just to give you even more context. So you just bear with me here. Just going to share a few more things. Boom. So here, so these are just 3 of the things that are happening. So right now, I'm in the process of finalizing my Learn to Relearn e-course. So I just celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Learn to Relearn, supporting identity in the culture-affirming classroom. And this is a book that continues to be a gift that keeps on giving. And this is a book that people continue to rave about. And I just told myself, all right, we need to find a way to make this accessible to even more educators. And I've had a number of educators ask me, Kwame, when are you going to put together an e-course that speaks to a lot of the main themes in this book? So, when the community calls for an e-course, you got to find a way to deliver. So I will say that over the past few months, I've been recording modules. I've been dissecting some of the chapters, the main chapters in the book, and find a way to make it digestible in a digital format. So it's almost done. I've done all the recordings. Now we're just in the process of fine tuning and finding a hosting platform where you all can access this entire e-course. So that's going to be coming early 2026. That I can promise you. I've also started a partnership with the Selling Club, which is an international educator network that is originally based in India, but it hosts so many international educators from across the globe. So it's everything from public speaking, to providing mini workshops and other digital professional learning opportunities. So I will be creating some content for the Selling Club that's also going to come out in early 2026. And then I am in the process of writing my fourth book, which is going to be coming out with Routledge sometime in 2027. So that is something that I'm currently doing right now, working on the manuscript. So there is a lot going on there. A lot going on. And then let's see. And then for anybody who wants to be a contributor to the book, I'm currently looking for submissions from teachers, students, school leaders, and other education professionals globally. And we're focusing on any of these 6 chapters that the book will be covering. So if this is something that you are interested in, please feel free to reach out to me. The deadline is April 1st of 2026. So you still have a few more months to submit your pieces together. And we're not looking for, a huge thesis paper. We're looking for 500 to 1,000 word blogs and narratives where you're sharing your success stories, but also just your own experience to some of these chapters that I'm sharing here on the screen. So tap in if you're someone that wants to get their writing out there, if you're someone that wants to delve into publications and that world, this is a great opportunity for you to get yourself out there. One of the things that I wanted to do with this book in particular was to ensure that I was creating space for any educators who are looking to get their writing out there, because one thing that I can assure you is getting into that publication world is not easy. Putting together the book proposal and ensuring that it gets into the right publisher's hands is a daunting task in itself. So, as someone that is now doing his second book with a major publisher and has also been on the self-publishing side of things, I'm all about finding ways to amplify others and to make sure that we're putting a spotlight on other authors who are looking to get into this space, because it's a beautiful space and there's a lot of opportunities that can come from being in publications and having your writing out there. So if you're someone that wants to do that, let's tap in. Now, the 2 biggest reasons why Identity Talk Educators Live is coming to an end, and I kind of started to mention this with Principal Kafele. I have been working with a local international school here in Zambia, really for the past year or so, doing consulting work, working with their senior leadership team on different aspects of the job, anywhere from operations to building capacity in teachers, professional learning. Right now, we're in the midst of our recruitment campaign where we're trying to find new teachers for the 2026-2027 school year, uh, marketing, social media. So I've taken on a senior leadership advisory role with the Lusaka Oak Tree School here in Lusaka, Zambia. It is an amazing school with amazing, dedicated teachers. And this was an opportunity, quite frankly, that just fell into my lap. And I've been thankful to be in a position where I can take many of the lessons I've learned from so many of past guests here on this podcast and now have a space to apply it into my daily consulting work with the Lusaka Oak Tree School. So this is part of this next chapter of my professional journey. In many ways, it's new territory. As somebody that has never been a principal, as somebody who has never been a head of school or in any major upper school leadership position, this has really proven to be an opportunity that has flexed my muscles and really stretched me in ways that no other opportunity has. And I'm thankful for the space and for the opportunity to do that. And I really do hope that over time, I'll be able to enlist the support of some of you all to help this school get to the next level over the next few years. So that's one opportunity. And then the next one is the Alliance for Diaspora Empowerment. So my wife and I, we are Pan-Africanists at heart. And one of the things that we have always talked about is, we want to find a way to give back, not just to the continent, but to the African diaspora. Because we recognize that there's a lot of need in different sectors, whether we're talking the education sector and the health sector, which are the two that we focus on through this new nonprofit. And we just want to continue to do some good work and continue to provide opportunities for individuals who have the knowledge, they have the intelligence, they have the ambition, they have the motivation, but they just need somebody to believe in them. They just need somebody to give them an opportunity to access. And that's what we're hoping that the Alliance for Diaspora Empowerment will serve as an opportunity to provide opportunities for people that want to continue their education, an opportunity to liaise with different organizations that are looking to improve the health conditions of their respective communities. So this is something that's still in the infant stages of its journey. But as time goes on, we will be sharing more information about it. So we're still very, very young, very new, and more will come from this. So that's what's going on right now behind the scenes. So I'm going to go ahead and just see some of the comments here. So thank you, Claudine. So Claudine is another past guest of the podcast. So many phenomenal individuals just doing this work, and they've all been on this platform just sharing about it. And then got Principal Kafele here. It's not easy. It's a beast. Like I said, doing this podcast from another country, another continent, where you have the challenges that are unique to the continent. It's definitely something that is not for the faint of heart. So I do appreciate the sentiments there. And yeah, so like I said, I see some of y'all are watching me right now, but I'd love for some of y'all to tap in. So if you are looking to get on this stream, please do not be shy. I'm going to go ahead and flash the URL here. So if you're looking to get on stage so that we can chat for a little bit, whether you're a past guest or someone who just admires the podcast from afar, feel free to type in this URL and then you'll be able to be backstage. So I'll leave that on for a little bit as I continue to talk about just the future and and what's in store for myself. So I've shared a lot of the things coming up, but I do want to take some time to talk about just the importance of this podcast and how I see this podcast continuing to live on, even though there'll be no more new episodes. This is a podcast that will continue to live on my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Kwame Sarfo-Mensah. If you go on the Identity Talk website, you'll still see all 233 episodes. If you go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, you will continue to have access to all 233 episodes. The episodes will not go away. They will live on forever. So if you miss me during that first round, you'll be able to see me then. But I do have plans for this podcast. I do see this as an opportunity to continue to be a global learning resource. I see opportunities to repurpose many of these episodes into professional learning content for schools because there's so much rich information that was shared from so many of these guests that we got to get into the schools. No matter where you are, we got to find a way to get into the schools. So that's the next part of the journey, is continuing to find ways to extend the lifeline of this platform. And then also, just while this is the end of this podcast as it's currently being manifested, the journey still lives on. When I think about this podcast, when I think about Identity Talk, the motto continues to be to stay true to the teacher in you. It will continue to be the motto, whether I'm in front of a screen or doing something behind the scenes. That will still continue to happen. I can assure you of that. So while this podcast is ending, the work will still continue. And then just for those who are looking to start a podcast, for those who are wondering whether they should write that book, whether they should start that vlog, whether they should write that article, do a podcast, whatever type of content you are sharing, my advice to you would be to just do it. Don't worry about the views. Don't worry about the likes. Don't worry about any of that. Just do it and see what happens. That's exactly what I did. There were times where nobody bothered to come on the live stream. There are times where I wasn't able to get a guest for that week, but I still made up my mind that I was going to continue to push forward. And that's what allowed me to get to this final episode, is just the persistence. So I would just tell people, keep on persisting, because we need more educator content platforms like Identity Talk for Educators Live. We need them, and they're out there. So I see my man Roberto Herman. So if you're not tapped into the Our Classroom podcast, which he's a host of, and if you're not tapped into the Multicultural Classroom, tap into them. Him and his wife Lorena, they're doing phenomenal work, but they're part of the fabric of folks who are putting out amazing educator content that is amplifying the people who continue to be invisibilized. So that's what keeps me going, being able to be in partnership and in collaboration with other podcasters who are doing similar work, that's been one of the joys of doing this podcast, quite frankly. So, Roberto, appreciate you, brother. And yeah, so that's the thing with podcasting. It's been an opportunity to network with so many people. It's been an opportunity to be creative, be innovative, and to just think of ways to do professional learning in a way that is different from how we've always done it traditionally. It's really allowed me to stretch my mind and to do so many things. So many things. Yes. But what else? But so I see we're about 51, 52 minutes in. I told myself that I would give myself about an hour to share what I need to share. And I'll continue to keep the link up in case there are folks who want to hop on and rap with a brother real quick. So I just want to continue to just acknowledge and extend gratitude to not only my past guests, but really to my family. To my wife Natalie, who gave me the space to record my episodes, even when it meant sacrificing time from family. To my two sons, Xavier and Thaddeus, for allowing Daddy to get in front of a screen and talk to mostly a bunch of strangers about education every Thursday. I appreciate them for their sacrifice and just for the space that they gave me to do this for 6 years. And then there's so many people behind the scenes who allow me to keep this thing going as long as it did. And there is absolutely no way that I can name all those individuals here today, because I will certainly miss out on somebody and they're going to let me hear about it. So I would not even attempt to do it. But if you are somebody that was a part of the journey and you are behind the scenes, just know that I appreciate you. I love you. And this does not happen without you. And I think one of the last things I will say is that we got to continue to center the power of collective storytelling. This podcast, in many ways, is an example of how the power of collective storytelling can enrich and improve the lives of so many people. Sometimes people just need to hear your story in order to come up with their solution to whatever issue they're going through. Sometimes they just need to hear a story to know that there's someone out there that's going through the same exact thing that they're going through in their school. And to know that something as simple as someone else's story has the power to do just that. And it doesn't require you to get a consultant. It doesn't require you to spend extra money in order to resolve that issue. There's a power to that. There's a power to it. So imagine if we continue as educators to put out content that allows for that to continue to happen. Imagine if we all decided to write a book, start a podcast, write an article, sharing these stories. Our education system globally will be in a much better place. And I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. And that's what I hope for everybody who is in that space. I just hope for you all to continue to believe in what's possible, continue to believe in just the power that comes with content like this, but also the responsibilities that come with it as well. When you are doing a podcast like this one, there is a responsibility, a great responsibility that is attached to that. You have a responsibility to show up consistently because people are looking for you. Now, of course, you have to have boundaries along the way. You need to preserve your mental and physical health when necessary. But what makes it powerful is the fact that people know you're going to show up. And when you keep on showing up, that's how you're able to build trust. And I firmly believe that people continue to tune into this podcast because they knew that every week there'll be a new episode. Every week I will show up. They knew that. And I could take pride in knowing that I was able to show up consistently for 6 years for thousands of educators globally. I could take pride in that. That's the legacy. Once again, it's not the views, it's not the likes, it's not the subscribers. It's the fact that I was able to show up and create time and space for people to simply be their radical selves. And to know that this will continue to be a place for people to come back to time and time again, that's all I can ask for. Roberto, you asked me the question, what's my next move? I kind of shared it about 10 minutes ago. So, brother, we could rap about that off camera, but I already shared what's happening. Man. So I'll talk to you more about that off camera for sure. I need to pick your brain about a few things leadership wise. Yeah, but I don't really have anything else other than thank you. Thank you. As I wrap up this final episode, I'm going to go ahead and just wait a few more seconds in case anybody wants to come on the stage and share some final words. But the link is up there if you want to get on the stream and talk for a little bit. You know, I'm here. So I got teacher wait time for sure. So as I'm waiting, I'm going to see if there's anything else I missed because I have my list over here. But I feel like I've covered most of the main stuff. Actually, you know what? I could actually share this since we're wrapping up. Let me go ahead and share the screen again. All right, y'all. So as we come to a close, for people wondering how they can continue to support Identity Talk, the brand, there's a few things that you can do to help a brother out. First and foremost, if you don't have a copy of Learn to Relearn, Supporting Identity in the Culture Affirming Classroom, make sure you get your copy today. You can get it at any online book retailer where they sell the book. It's out there. You could also go to the book's main website at learning2relearn.com. So make sure you all do that. For those who have purchased a copy of the book, Learn to Relearn, and you love what you read, please make sure you leave a 5-star review on Goodreads or Amazon, or wherever you leave your book reviews. That will help increase the visibility of the book across all these different book retailer platforms online. And then we do have some merch. So as you can see here, I got one of the newest shirts that's in the shop. So this is the From Inaction to Inaction shirt that just released in the shop. We got many more in there. Some coming from the Quam's Quotes collection. And then we also have some other accessories, including stickers. So to check out some of the newest stuff, you can go to the Identity Talk website for the new apparel, and you can purchase them directly from there. And one thing that I will say was one of the few annoying things about, not about the podcast, but just this journey, is the fact that a lot of people don't realize that before I even got into podcasting, I was a classroom teacher. I was a classroom teacher for 10 years, teaching middle school math, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And this Identity Talk consulting business that I started, it started out as a consulting business. And then the podcast came afterwards. So at the core, at its origin, Identity Talk Consulting is an education consultancy business. So that means that I actually do go to schools. I do facilitate professional learning sessions with teachers, with leadership teams, and other organizations. So if you're a school, or maybe you know an organization that is looking for a keynote speaker, a professional learning provider, make sure you recommend Identity Talk and tell them to have Kwame come to your school. And you have the podcast episodes to give them a glimpse of what that could be for them. You also have the Identity Talk website, identity-talk4educators.com, where they can learn about my services. But yes, I do talk with different schools. I do workshops. I also do keynote speaking. So I think that's one thing that if I can go back in time, I wish I was amplifying those parts of the business more. But here we are. So make sure you all tap in to that. And then finally, while I'm not going to be in front of your screen every single Thursday, that does not mean that we can't stay connected. So for those that want to connect with me on social media, you can connect with me on these platforms. So I'm usually on LinkedIn more than any other social media platform, but you can go on YouTube and just type my name to look at my content there, including all 233 episodes of this podcast. You could also go on Instagram, where you can find my handle at symbol Kwame _the identity _shaper. Yes, that's a tongue twister. But if you just type in my name, Instagram, that will come right up. That's probably the easiest way to get to my Instagram account. And then, as I've mentioned, you can go to the Identity Talk website at identity-talk4educators.com. And if you scan that QR code, that's actually going to take you to all those platforms that I just shared. So it's all in one. It's all in one space there. So I'll leave that up for a little bit in case people want to scan that QR code. But yeah, quite frankly, I have nothing else left to say other than thank you. And I can't believe I'm even saying this, but we're actually going to wrap up this final episode of Identity Talk Educators Live. And as always, and forever, I wish you all good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. And hopefully someday we're going to do this again, but it's going to be a totally different podcast than what you are seeing right now. But I don't believe this will be the last time you'll see me in this space. I'm pretty sure there'll be another podcast that I'll come up with that's going to be fresh, that's going to be new. I may even have a co-host next time around, which will be super dope. But I appreciate you all for this time. I appreciate you all for the 6 years that you've poured into investing into this podcast. And I just appreciate your time, because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you still continue to come every Thursday to check out new episodes of Identity Talk Educators Live. And that alone means the world to me. And I will never forget it. So, until we meet again, people, peace out.